In this Lost Ark Sharpshooter guide, I'm going to show you what it means to play as a sharpshooter in terms of how well they perform in combat, the best skills and tripods to focus on, and the playstyles available to them. If you're searching for a ranged DPS class that deals high damage from afar with the help of his trusty Silverhawk, then this Lost Ark Sharpshooter guide is for you. Be sure to check out our other Lost Ark class guides, including Shadowhunter, Sorceress, Gunslinger, Paladin, Gunlancer, Deathblade, Wardancer, and Scrapper. The Lost Ark Sharpshooter is one of the advanced classes that falls under the Gunner. They wield bows and arrows to effectively shoot foes from a distance, which more often than not also protects them from incoming attacks. Moreover, they're a good class to pick for beginners due to how simple their skill rotations are. As a Lost Ark Sharpshooter, you're able to deal massive damage from specific range skills while also having the ability to engage enemies up close due to the blades you have equipped. Because of melee skills, Silverhawk can be summoned more often. But you need to be careful when using them since you can be easily overwhelmed by mobs in melee range due to their low defenses. Unlike the rest of the classes, however, sharpshooters don't concern themselves with back attacks as much, making them straightforward to pilot. The Lost Ark Sharpshooter is a ranged DPS class that deals both burst and sustained damage quite effectively, in addition to debuffing enemies to boost the party's overall damage. As a gunner, they have excellent mobility, allowing them to slide from one area to the next for optimal positioning. Doing so also grants them super armor, specifically push and debuff immunities, which they need given how squishy they are. Although sharpshooters are a beginner-friendly class, you need to be mindful of your skill rotation, especially if your build consists of one or two melee skills. However, combining these with ranged and evasion abilities while improving the distance you cover should boost your survivability. All advanced classes in Lost Ark have unique specialties or identities that differentiate them from the other classes. These can either unleash more damage or enhance the buffs they grant. For the Lost Ark Sharpshooter, it's the Hawk identity to summon Silverhawk and deal massive damage. Once the Hawk meter is full by dealing enough damage, you're able to boost your allies' movement speed. When Silverhawk is available, you gain access to two skills, namely Wings of Storm and Last Rush. With Wings of Storm, Silverhawk circles the enemies to create a gust of wind to inflict notable damage. As long as your Hawk meter has enough energy, you can keep activating Wings of Storm once its cooldown ends. Remember to try to use it continuously since the Hawk energy will decrease regardless. Last Rush, on the other hand, is much more powerful since Silverhawk self-destructs when it crashes into targets to deal explosive damage. Note that unlike Wings of Storm, you can only use Last Rush once since it fully depletes the Hawk meter. By the time your Lost Ark Sharpshooter reaches level 50, you'll have unlocked a total of 20 skills comprised of normal and awakening skills. To add to this, you've invested several points into normal skills to specialize further by unlocking your respective tripods. The tripod system allows players to customize skills in various ways by improving damage or reducing the cooldown of corresponding abilities. In total, you only need 8 skills per character with a select number of tripods. In this section, I'll cover the essential normal skills and tripods you should allocate points into, regardless of the playstyle you end up choosing. Sharpshooter normal skills and tripods. Rapid Shot. Shoots 3 arrows in quick succession to deal increasing damage against enemies who are positioned in a straight line in front of you. To temporarily enhance the damage you and your allies inflict, you should pick the Amplified Damage tripod. The other upgrades to consider are Double Shot and Final Strike to boost your overall damage, AoE, and crit rate. Arrow Shower. Shoots a barrage of arrows into the air which will then land into multiple enemies to deal considerable damage over time. Like the Gunslinger's Meteor Stream, Arrow Shower is a good initiator skill against unaware or slow-moving targets, since it takes a few seconds for the arrows to crash into the ground. Alternatively, you can lure enemies into the AoE to make sure that the arrows hit them in time. But be careful when using this skill right before you get hit by stronger enemies, otherwise you'll trigger its cooldown with wasting the Arrow Shower altogether. The best tripods to maximize the damage you deal and to increase your attack speed and crit rate are Swift Fingers, Sustain Enhancement, and Piercing Arrow. Moving Slash. An excellent mobility skill that lets your Lost Ark Sharpshooter engage enemies in melee range. However, Moving Slash is a back attack, so you're able to deal more damage when you catch them by surprise from behind. To approach them from a further distance, you're going to need excellent mobility. You should also pick up Silver Master to gain more Hawk energy and Strengthening to enhance your damage and deal damage over time by inflicting bleed. Blade Storm. Another melee and back attack skill with better range that allows you to spin around the area and throw blades at the same time to deal decent damage. Blade Storm is similar to the Wardancer's Swift Wind Kick, in that it becomes easier to control later on upon equipping the Blade Dance tripod and by holding down your left mouse button. The other upgrades you should choose are Silver Master to quickly increase your Hawk energy generation and Lightning Blade, which lets you throw lethal blades further to deal enhanced critical damage for your final attack. Claymore Mine. This allows you to deal explosive damage while evading enemies who are already moving towards you. To widen the mine's AoE and deal greater damage against challenge and lower type monsters, you're going to need Storm Surge. Even if this lengthens the Claymore Mine's cooldown period, it shouldn't be an issue since you have other skills to finish off remaining targets anyway. You should then obtain Weapon Destruction and Mounting Flames. This combination inflicts a debuff on enemies by temporarily weakening the damage they deal, and it boosts your overall damage while letting you deal dot damage by burning them. Should you need push immunity for added protection, you can substitute mounting flames for tenacity. Charged Shot, a high damage skill that requires you to charge your arrows before shooting enemies. To make Charged Shot flexible so that the damage you deal isn't dependent on your charge level, it's best to take fast fire. So the higher your charge level is, the further the range of your attack will be. And this will still boost your damage by half due to the explosion that detonates at the target's location. Moreover, remember that you can move your cursor to easily reposition your aim. The other tripods to consider are Quick Prep to decrease the skill's cooldown rate and Double Shot to boost damage further, since you'll be using 2 arrows instead of 1. Sharpshooter, another focused fire AoE damage skill that lets you shoot multiple arrows, each inflicting notable damage. What's good with Sharpshooter is you can also use this to deal high damage against a push immune or strong enemy thanks to weak point detection and focused shot. The last tripod you should take is Vital Point Hit to boost your crit rate. Snipe. Unlocked at combat level 50, this allows you to deal the highest damage possible against challenge and stronger monsters, especially if you hit them while in the perfect zone thanks to weak point detection. Snipe is very similar to the Gunslinger's Target Down Sniper skill because it lets you target and zone in on your enemies to put them down. This skill is made all the more powerful when you select Quick Prep to be able to use it more often, and Easy Prey to improve your chances of hitting the perfect zone. As such, you deal greater critical damage. Sharpshooter alternative normal skills and tripods. If you prefer to include extra range skills to your build, you can give up Moving Slash or Blade Storm in favor of Evasive Fire or Electric Nova. However, remember that in doing so, you won't be able to increase the Hawk meter as much. Evasive Fire. Spin backward into the air while shooting enemies in front of you. Evasive Fire is both a damage and evasion skill, so you can trigger this when targets are moving closer or charging towards you to counter their attack. To boost your backward jump while adding an extra attack to deal great damage from a much safer distance, you're going to need excellent mobility, heavy arrow, and strategic evasion. Electric Nova. Unlocked at combat level 40, this allows you to fire an arrow that deals electric damage and damage over time. What makes Electric Nova more effective are Ranged Shot, Electric Impact, and Lightning Rod. This combination lengthens the area you cover to attack enemies who are far from you, and it inflicts electrocution to momentarily stun them. Additionally, the charged arrow explodes in the end for extra damage. In Lost Ark, every advanced class unlocks engravings that allow you to further specialize in your chosen class, and these grant special effects, which you can activate by reading recipe books and equipping accessories and ability stones. You're able to obtain them as random rewards by completing endgame activities such as Chaos and Abyss dungeons and Guardian raids. In this section, I'm going to talk about Lost Ark Sharpshooter engravings, which determine the playstyle you wish to adopt for your character and are class-specific abilities and traits. You gain access to this when you reach higher levels. The 2 class engravings available to the Sharpshooter are Death Strike and Loyal Companion. Let's first discuss the Death Strike class engraving or playstyle, together with the stats that go with it. Death Strike increases the damage taken by the same enemy you used the Last Rush skill on. As such, you have a window in which you're able to deal massive burst damage against them for several seconds, making it essential against bosses and stronger enemies. You also instantly gain 50% of your Hawk meter with this engraving. To inflict the maximum amount of damage against the target, you're going to want to aim for Death Strike level 3. In terms of Death Strike's combat stats, you'll want to prioritize crit followed by specialization when gearing up. This setup boosts your crit rate to deal great damage. It also increases the Hawk energy you gain, as well as Silverhawk's damage with Wings of Storm and Last Rush. Conversely, Loyal Companion provides Silverhawk with a variety of buffs, including improved move speed, wider AoE coverage, boosted damage, and longer summon duration. This time around, when you use Wings of Storm, you mark targets to increase the damage they receive, just like the classic Ranger. And finally, you gain more Hawk energy while in combat. Going for Loyal Companion level 3 will significantly enhance Silverhawk's damage and uptime. In terms of combat stats, you're going to have a similar setup with the Death Strike playstyle in that you'll focus more on crit and then specialization to maximize the overall damage you and Silverhawk deal. Final tips. As a Lost Ark Sharpshooter, you'll have a bit of an adjustment period when it comes to positioning and aiming for arrows to hit enemies from a distance. But once you get the hang of how every skill works, it'll be satisfying to see how effective this advanced class truly is. In PvP, Sharpshooters will make use of kiting quite a lot while using ranged and dodge skills to deal great damage and to survive in longer combat. Since you lack abilities to successfully stagger enemies frequently, you're going to need to switch between burst and sustained damage in addition to summoning Silverhawk as often as possible. Doing so will allow you to defeat enemies quickly. Remember to slide in between activating your skills to make sure that you execute them uninterrupted. And finally, be sure to activate Rapid Shot before using your other abilities to take advantage of the damage buff it grants you and your party. Stay tuned for more Lost Ark class guides, and be sure to check out our Lost Ark wiki or drop by our Twitch channel if you have questions about the game. What did you think of this Lost Ark Sharpshooter class guide? What advanced class are you playing? Let us know in the comments below.